Comic-Con comes to York. For the first time ever, Comic-Con is in York City, in what is known as the White Rose Comic-Con. Cosplayers, artists, and comic book stands made the Utz Arena buzz. I spoke to some fans, as well as special guests, and everyone sounded very excited to be there.
Oh, I love it. I love the cosplay. I wish everybody was in costume.
Would you ever participate in that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I actually, last year at Save Against Fear, it was an 80s theme for the con, and I wanted to dress up as a Care Bear. But unfortunately, I didn't have my stuff together in time for that. My husband went as Beetlejuice. It was really cool.
We walked over to that one spot, and there was a book that I got for Christmas a long time ago, and it was called Full Panic Overload or something like that. And I haven't seen it for a long time, so it just brought up some kind of nostalgia. It was cool.
I like looking at a lot of the action figures and the graded comics. The graded comics, I don't have any graded comics in my personal collection, but I just love looking at just comic stuff in general. Just cosplay, it's all right. I don't really participate in it. I understand the liking of it and everything, but I'm just not really that into it.
I heard this is the first time they ever did it. I didn't know that. This guy has no experience, and it's way more put together than you'd expect somebody who's never done this before. The bad is that it's a little bit more dorky than you imagine, but that's kind of what something like this is for, which is so the bad turns into a good. It's both followed exactly my expectations and defied them in good and bad ways.
I spoke to local artist Britt Roundtree, whose art is inspired by various pieces of pop culture. You can find her art hanging in Ironic, a local cafe here in the city.
My first event was last October. It was Save Against Fear in Harrisburg. And I think that's the only con that I've done since today. But I have been featured in a couple of the local art galleries in town, and I have some things hanging up in some of the shops downtown.
When I found Britt, she was working on another new painting. When I went to talk to her, we had a nice conversation about the art she produces and the inspirations behind it, as well as why she enjoys cons so much.
I love it. It gives me lots of time to paint, so that's excellent. You get to meet a lot of really cool people, and I have a lot of kind of nerdy hobbies, I guess. I really like a lot of pop culture and superheroes and comics, and so I fit in really well. These are my people. Honestly, not really any of them have a specific backstory. It's just kind of everything that I like. I spend a lot of time on the internet, like who doesn't? And I paint things that either I see that inspire me and I say, oh, that's really cool, you know, I want to kind of put my spin on that. Or like the Alice in Wonderland, I'm a huge Alice in Wonderland fan, so I have a lot of those kind of paintings, and I love Mario and all the 80s and 90s like video games, so I just paint what I would want hanging in my house.
I later spoke to Jason from Kirby Comics. Jason also runs a podcast called Conversations with Jason and Pete.
This is actually our first event for Kirby's Comics. He's been open for 17 months, so going into their second year. But this is my first event actually working at one. I'm usually somebody that walks around and buys. This is his first. He's been to other ones just walking around and buying, but this is his first actual event for a Comic-Con.
Cool. Are you enjoying your time here?
Love it.
We later went on to talk about his extensive comic book collection.
I started buying actually as a collector in 1986. But I've been off and on because of the price, and in 1986 I was younger and I was getting like a $5 a week allowance. I could buy input comics for 75 cents. Now they're $4.99, $3.99. I stopped for a few years, got back into it, stopped for a few years, got back into it, but all in all, since like 1986 as the actual collector.
The White Rose Comic-Con was a good first attempt. Everyone seemed very satisfied with the event, although there were a few comments made as to how to improve.
Well, first, a lot better advertising for it. It was very under-advertised, which they had a fair turnout for the amount of advertising they did, but I think a little bit more advertising would put a lot more foot traffic. Dream-wise, it'd be a couple more artists that are more known to the public.
I like the cosplay and stuff, but I just wish there was more. But I guess like they just needed more promotion for here. It could be a lot better.
I guess just more people. Since this is the first one, I'm sure there's plenty of people in the area who don't know about it. And then people outside of the area that don't know about it too. So just more publicity, which would bring more vendors and more people. I think something like this could do really well here.
Well, as you can see from my shirt, I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. So if they could have, like, anybody from Walking Dead, that would be huge.
And so concludes the White Rose Comic Con. The day ended when a girl dressed as Harley Quinn won the costume contest of the day. Hopefully White Rose Comic Con will be back next year.